there, so.
Yeah. Alright, see what we get, now that's where we had it last time, as far as the height and everything, so
Okay.
we should slide right in. But all I really did was just, bring that hip in some. So, yeah, it's a lot better. It's a lot better.
So it could be slightly different just because I want a shoe on.
Yeah, probably, yeah, 'cause you had at least a flip flop on last time, I think, so yeah. You can slide it down a little bit. It's just gonna drop you a little bit, let's see. Maybe. That's better. For sure. Yeah, it looks good.
Cool.
Looks good. Yeah, really just stacked up. That's the one thing I wanted to do a little bit smoother. Everything else looks good. Try on that trophy hammer now. It's just good, you know, a little bit more balance this way.
Cool.
So. Yeah, I think the length, I mean, I think we're right on. The other day, you can shift it down a little bit more after you walk a little bit, so I think I'm gonna leave it as it is.
Cool.
Just have a little bit of excess in the bottom, it's not much. I think we'll be good. Looks fine.
Cool.
All right, awesome, easy enough. So I will get that boxed up,
Cool.
put all the coating in, get it sewn, and it'll just be a waiting game.
Yeah.
In 12 days. You're pulling off. I grabbed your knee and foot and everything.
Okay.
Now the height's not set on anything, so it's like that long.
Okay.
So that's gonna be a little bit awkward, but.
Close. So close. That went bad.
Yeah?
In case I don't get asked right away.
So we just kind of threw everything together. Take that from you, Chloe. So I won't cut the pile line down until we're like at go time, when I get a more precise knee height from you.
Okay.
And obviously there's a cosmetic foot shell that'll go over the foot, so it'll hold the shoes.
And that's just for holding a shoe, the cosmetic foot?
The shell, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's really all
I
it
kind of
does.
like that.
What's that?
So I kind of like that a little bit, okay, I guess.
Yeah, no, it looks pretty sweet, but it won't, you can't put a shoe on it.
Okay.
I mean, there's just no way to bind a shoe to it, it just, so the cosmetics just gives us something to hold on to. Obviously, this will be a lot shorter up in here, but
Okay.
we'll determine that, as we go. Actually, I'm gonna get a knee measurement on you today and see where we are. Hopefully, my clearance is gonna be good. I'll probably honestly end up buttoning this right up in to the bottom of the knee, because we've got to get, it's gonna be like 19 or something like that. And then with the rotator, we're gonna be tight. I can do a different type of foot, but the benefit of this foot is the vertical shock. So it's got this rubber grommet in here, and what that does is, so if you come off a ladder or something like that, it actually compresses it.
Okay.
It's based off your body weight. So I want to keep that in, and it'll kind of be up to you when we get kind of in the scheme of things that we're working on to see exactly. I might have a little room here, it's not gonna be a ton, but it's gonna be it'll give a little bit of room, so that we can, probably come down with the rotator and this foot. And the reason I say this foot, without this in here, some of the other feet are a little bit shorter, so
Okay.
it brings my knee center down.
Gotcha.
With this foot, this is the only vertical shock that Autobike makes. And I was trying to, maintain that for you for
Okay.
work and play and, all the stuff you guys do, just to give you that little bit of shock absorption, that comes, from the foot. And the rotator goes here, and of course socket goes on top of that. The rotator is the piece that I said you could push, and it'll do 360. It's about that much higher, so.
Okay.
What it'll be is, just where the knee center is and how much concern you have over if it's perfectly, the height, I'll get the height right.
Yeah.
It's just, are
Just
we
matter
gonna
where it
be
hinges.
exactly where the knee center is?
Okay.
So sometimes it comes out to be, you know, function versus, I hate to say it, cosmetics, because it's gonna, as long as I've got your body height right, it won't matter. So some people are, you know, I don't care, just, I mean, I got all the cool stuff that helps me, you know, so it just kinda comes down to that.
Okay.
So we'll see exactly where we are. I'm gonna get a measurement, real quick.
Okay.
Hopefully at your knee center, and that way I'll have a good idea. And then we'll be able to kind of get a little bit closer to where we are. Like I said, I think with your limb length, I mean, we'll have the extra room, it's just a matter of, you know, really what your preference is.
Okay.
You know, if it's a half inch off, you know, higher or whatever, it's gonna be,
Look at that calf muscle.
that's right. Well, that doesn't have the cover on it now. The
So
ruggedized.
that's more than that?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Let's see, but this is what I see, just roughly on most people I have seen, it looks more like this than without an outer shell, I guess.
Yeah, the X3 comes with a, you know, I mean, it was actually designed for soldiers. So it actually comes, and that's what they call it a ruggedized cover.
Okay.
And it'll basically just enclose that and click in the back snap, where you can still, you know, charge and everything. However, it's a, you know, it's a pretty beefy, like I said, it kind of looks like Batman's. I mean, it's that dark, you know,
Cool.
black, dark, super dark charcoal gray, you know, it's pretty sleek. I wish they would make the pylons black,
Oh, yeah.
because then with the black and then, you know, the carbon foot, I mean, it'll look really tight.
Yeah.
But, they always make those damn pylons like that. So, I've asked them, but they're, so far, I think it's because they can't get the adjustment scale on the front.
Oh, yeah.
It would show up and.
You can only do it white.
Yeah, and some of these pylons are a little tricky. This one goes anterior, some of them go posterior. The old ones used to go posterior, so guys still get messed up, you know, like me that have been around for, because they've changed the back versus the front so many times that you go, now which way is this pylon? If you don't have it on right, then depending on the knee, it won't register. The knee won't be able to read appropriately what the foot's doing.
Okay.
So it completely throws the knee off. But that's it.
Cool.
That's it. Yeah, it's pretty sweet. And, once we get.
Do I get to keep the stickers and?
If you want.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll walk around with those on
Yeah,
my
well.
life. Can we put a price tag
It's like
on
a
it so
new
we
hat.
know what I'm worth?
Like a new hat, and we just leave the Nike tag on it or whatever.
I have a question that has nothing to do with this technically, but,
Yeah.
one of my pessimistic, I guess, other amputees, he was like, oh, well, something pistoning, and he was trying to explain it and all that stuff, and wanting to worry me about pistoning. Like,
Pistoning on the socket?
stuff, yeah. I'm like, what are you doing here? Oh, scrap. I just want like, oh my God.
No, I mean, you know, some of that's socket fit, it can be the type of suspension you have. I mean, you know, a lot of these guys, I'll just be totally honest, I mean, you know, they'll make the initial limb, and we'll make it for them, and they'll start to shrink, and, you know, they won't come back. Well, I mean, when you start having problems, if you don't come back to the guy who fixes the problems, then honestly, you're just gonna have problems.
Gotcha.
And then what they'll do is go, this thing never fit good, and they start, you know, because they just won't come back in and see us. I mean, you know, we're not a car manufacturer.
Yeah.
This is a custom device, you know, all of this, yeah, for the most part, it should, you know, work appropriately. It's technology, so might there be some snags here and there? Absolutely. The socket is an ever-changing animal. I mean, you know, you gotta think, because just the inconsistencies that you have, you gotta think, that relates to the socket. You know, right now, we've got a great fit. After you get in it for 3 months,
Yeah, you see,
here's the thing, I mean, if you lose 5 pounds, that changes the fit. Not my fault
yeah,
that you lost 5 pounds. If you lose fluid, you know, and you know, sometimes people get measured too early. And honestly, they should have practitioner probably should have wear them shrink longer, or, you know, let's just say it wasn't even that they rushed a little bit. Let's just say it's a dialysis patient that's, you know, every third day or every second day, depending on how you look at it, the third day they get fluid pulled off of them. So they're a Monday, Wednesday, Friday dialysis patient. So if you pull 3 liters, which is probably 2 to 3 liters, is a pretty adequate amount of fluid. If you pull that off, what do you think is going to happen to that limb?
Yeah, definitely.
It's going to get a lot smaller. Well, guess what? The socket doesn't fit like you did when you walked in because you were swollen. So when you leave, that volume's gone. Well, it's probably not going to be as comfortable if you don't make adjustments.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I mean, if that kind of gives you an idea, am I blaming it on, you know, no, I mean, you know, hopefully 3 check sockets. I've also seen you similar times of the day, but you fit consistently in all 3 of them. I know you've been wearing shrinkers since like day 1.
Yeah.
I haven't seen you swollen. I've seen your ankle swollen. So, but outside of just the ankle, I mean, you look pretty consistent every time you come in here. So, am I worried that you're going to have a big fluid problem? No, I've seen you 18 times. I mean, you've looked pretty consistent all the time. So I'm pretty confident that we're in a good place to move ahead.
Do you think weight loss will happen when we get to walking?
Maybe.
I mean, yeah, because that's what you mentioned too. I'm pretty active now, like I sweat my butt off because
Yeah.
I stay going at all times.
Well, your activity, well,
You know, so he's like, oh, we do this much work with 2, you know, 1 leg and all stuff. I'm like, maybe it'll change, but I just can't imagine it changing that much.
you know, I mean, I think a lot of people, normally I would potentially say yes, but a lot of people, when they lose their limb, I see them, you know, yeah, they have the initial limb loss, but then due to the inactivity, yeah, they'll put on 20 pounds. Okay, well, that's usually a temporary gain due to lack of activity.
Yeah.
So, yeah, what you're saying, I completely agree with.
I mean, I see like a little bit more because I'll actually be all day long up and on my feet as opposed to
Well,
pushing a walker or whatever and doing something.
but using those things actually requires a lot more energy expenditure than just normal ambulation.
Okay.
I mean, your upper body.
So that's what I thought with like the walker, like
That's
I'm resting
increased.
off.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
it's increased. I mean, that increases your activity level. So now this has that increased activity level too. So, you know, will it even out somewhere? Most likely. I mean, do I think you might see a 5-pound swing. I mean, you know, I don't think you'll see a tremendous, I mean, have you gained a lot?
I mean, what did you say that was off 5 pounds?
Probably. We can weigh you up front if you want.
Yeah, I've gained weight, but I've also been working out every day.
Right.
You know, so when I came in, I think that's at 190, and now it says 210, which is still bouncing around, so I can't tell
Yeah.
exactly.
Right.
You know, so.
Yeah, that one's, I mean, if you've been consistently on that one since the first time you came in, I mean, so you may gain a little weight. Okay, I mean, you'll probably lose some, but, you know, then it's, you know, August now, I mean, typically I see, usually the hottest months is when I see people come down, and then of course we get into November, December, January, February, the holidays, and then people go up. So, you know, yeah, you might come down a little bit, and then you might, you know, stabilize back out. You know, hard to say. You know, my undergraduate degree is exercise and sports science, so I mean, even people that stay very steady typically will fluctuate 5 to 10 pounds from season to season, you know. I mean, I would say you're probably in that category. You know, as you get older, it's a little tougher.
Yeah.
But I don't think, you know, I don't think you're gonna see some extreme weight loss or anything like that.
Okay.
But, and you know, get back to the socket, I mean, will you piston in certain types of sockets if your volume has changed? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's part of the game. If I could, you know, just run this into your skeletal system, A, it would be a lot lighter, and B,
Yeah.
you don't have to worry about sockets and, you know, weight gain, weight loss, fluid, that kind of thing. But that's really the driving force behind the sockets changing, especially, you know, and I hate to say it, but Americans are, you know, we tend to be a little more gluttonous and a little more lazy than a lot of other cultures. And I don't mean that ugly, I just mean it, you know, it is what it is. Everybody wants it now, and they want to eat now, let's go to fast food and get grade D beef and
Yeah.
french fries, and okay, it was great. And we had it, now I'm sick after I eat, you know. And, I'm not a fast food, you know, I'm not anti-fast food, just saying that, you know. So I think, for me, 28 years of doing this, absolutely, the number one reason for changing a leg out is weight gain and weight loss.
Okay.
See it all the time. I mean, Americans are just more prone to binging. I mean, we just, you know, we are. And I think that's what happens, you know, the holidays give you, you know, I'll make a brand new leg like you, first time, get it to them in September, you know, September, October, everything's great, you know, a couple of months. And kind of, you know, I'll see you in 6 months. Well, end of January, they call me and they go, hey, man, this leg it's like way too long.
Oh.
Okay. How does that happen?
Yeah.
I mean, how did the you know, we've been good, September, October, November, December. Now in January, the leg got long. Well, think about that. I mean,
It's not
so
going up all the way.
how does, you're not going down in the socket all the way, because guess what? The leg got bigger. And people are offended if you ask them how much weight they gain. I mean, you know, people are very touchy in the United States about weight. I mean, what do you mean I gain weight? What do I look fat? I mean, you know, that's a constant conversation that you have to be very careful about. So, you know, me knowing what I know, how much weight do you gain? I ain't gonna weight. All right, well, then you have to just come see me. I walk in the door and I'm like, holy cow. I mean, even their face is bigger, you know, I'm going, okay, you know how hard it is to make your face bigger?
Yeah.
Yeah, your leg's not going in that socket. And of course, they, you know, yeah, those things, you know, they're walking, they're all off hander, tripping over the foot and going, okay, I mean, it's just simple weight gain. They've just gotten too big for the socket. Well, if you're an inch out of the socket, then guess what? The leg's an inch longer.
Yeah.
Because you're adding that to a device that's already stabilized. So, you know, it just got taller. So, in fact, yes, the leg did get longer. Why? Because you're not down in the socket appropriately. So it kind of it kind of reverts back onto the patient. So I always tell everybody when they get a new socket, I'm like, look, you've got about a 5 or 10 pound increase or decrease either way. It's easier to adjust the decreases. When you get bigger, yeah, you know, the sockets don't stretch. So, you know, I always go, it's kind of like putting a peach in a thimble.
So with weight gain,
You'll
weighing more fatness, your leg will get bigger, but I can't build muscle, so technically, as long as I'm not gaining just weight from food, it'll always stay the same or smaller.
Well, so the famous old saying about weight gain is that a pound of fat weighs more than a pound of muscle.
Yeah.
All right? That's a pound of fat and a pound of muscle. Which one?
Pound.
It can't weigh more.
Yeah.
There's no way more. However, muscle is denser. So you might have a square of muscle and a pound of fat. So the way fat metabolizes is the adipose tissue, it's bulky, it's bigger, so you get bigger. You know, so that's the problem, you know, switching, yeah, it doesn't equate that way. And then if you lose weight, typically you lose more lean tissue than you lose fat tissue. And so people go, well, so I gained 30 pounds, if I lose 30, am I still gonna, you know, is my socket gonna fit great again? Probably not.
Yeah.
You know, because you've changed your body now by losing that, you know, that kind of weight. So I mean, once again, that's kind of a, you know, it's one of those things that I try, you know, I hate to say, hey, you need to stay within a certain weight, but you do, really.
Okay.
I mean, it's easier for you to go down and us to accommodate it with socks. You know, going up, yeah, enough weight, 5 pounds, yeah, you know, 5'7", we can probably, you know, accommodate, but you see how the socket fits. It's snug. I mean, it's, you know, a prosthetic socket, you want it to be intimate and have an intimate fit. If it's loose, you know, you're prone to get sores from shear forces. You're also potentially going to be more unstable. You know, if it doesn't move when you move, that's not a good thing. So there's lag time, there's bouncing around, you know, we call it bell clapping when the socket gets big and you start moving your limb in and out. You know, yeah, that's not a good thing. Your control is gone. Plus, if your socket's not effectively moving when you are, you've got a high dollar need that you have. it can't read what's going on because your socket fit is bad. And one of the first things Autobike will tell you, anybody that takes these courses, is two things. You have to have a good fitting socket, and the alignment has to be good before you put the knee under it and program it. Because without those two things happening, if you've got a poor fitting socket, and the alignment's bad, the knee's not gonna be able to register appropriately what you're trying to do with it.
Okay.
So those things have to be first, then you program the leg. So they'll tell you, somebody's fit is dilapidating and they can't control the knee. First thing they'll say is, how's the socket fit? And then a lot of times they want to see the alignment. Making sockets, I don't mean this ugly to anybody in my career field, but not everybody can make a socket.
Yeah.
I don't mean that ugly. People have bad first experiences, and then they go, you know what? Those things are pieces of junk. They don't work. They hurt the whole time. Maybe unfortunately the guy you got with was inexperienced or just out of school, or maybe he just didn't have good hand skills and didn't know how to make a socket. It happens. You go to a bad auto mechanic.
Yeah.
Okay, you got a bad car, you buy a brand new one. Well, you got the lemon. What do they say? Don't buy a car that they finished on Friday or Monday. So that unfortunately, like I was saying, I don't know who this guy who's sending you messages online is and all that.
That's different people.
And I'm not.
Yeah.
I don't know who he works with. He may work with the greatest guy in the world, and he's just telling you some of his experiences with fluctuation of his volume, maybe, or he didn't have a very good process. I don't know.
I'd like to think, it's just, he's just trying to give me the ins and outs and all that
Probably.
stuff,
That's probably it, the good and the bad. There's pros and cons. I wish I could tell you it was gonna be fun, it's not. But you'll also get used to it and it will become the norm, like brushing your teeth.
That guy, he did give me some of the best advice I've had so far about legs. He's like, he puts women's deodorant secret or something on his leg because it sweats.
Yep.
Like it's pretty bad.
Yep.
So I was like, well, that's pretty good. Nobody's ever mentioned that yet, so.
You never asked me.
I didn't know. I wouldn't have known. I would've like,
Well,
think about this.
you don't look like a heavy perspirer to me.
Well, I'm bad when it starts.
Are you?
Yeah, it doesn't
Okay.
happen like just any time, but once it starts,
Yeah.
it's real bad.
And that's, we just really hadn't gotten there yet.
Okay.
The liners will make you perspire. If you're a highly diaphoretic amputee, unfortunately, you might have to take the leg off and take the liner off and dry your skin and dry the liner and put it back on. And, that's gonna be one of those inconveniences that you go, okay, that sucks.
Yeah.
Does it happen? It does. Does antiperspirant help some people? It does. Typically, you wanna use a lighter antiperspirant or one that's, like Right Guard, for example. It can be, it's a pretty potent antiperspirant. So now, he said use a roll-on.
He didn't say whether, he just said women's.
Yeah, use a spray.
Okay.
You just spray your limb down. I would always, use it under your arm for a couple of days just to make sure, the spray, and just make sure it doesn't give you a rash or burn. Some of them are pretty strong, so
Okay.
you do have to be careful with that. All those little secrets, I don't know all that stuff. It's
Oh, cool.
just,
Like I said, I wouldn't have known two answers. I'm not saying anything against you, he just mentioned I was like,
Yeah.
what's the best, because I've only gotten information really from other amputees, like,
Right.
what's the best one that I've heard so far, so that's kind of
Yeah,
good.
no,
I wouldn't have known to ask.
he's right on, and I've actually got samples of used to be a prescription antiperspirant that I can give you in case it becomes a problem, that you can try. Now, it's like a once every 2 day type of a thing, and
Okay.
a little slops, you wipe your leg down. But we can try some of that, but I wasn't gonna give you a problem that you didn't have, so,
Yeah. Speaking of prescriptions, this is off subject, but you did mention it last time, and I just noticed it more like because I'm flat-footed.
Mhm.
You mentioned getting orthotics or whatever
Yep.
for my foot. I do want to do that whenever the time comes,
Okay.
especially.
Bill is, and that's one reason I moved you back. His wife was positive, so.
Okay, sure.
Devin will be back tomorrow, and we can I can get Gail just to schedule to come in, or you can do it like when you see me, so
Okay.
you, but if you wanna get the ball rolling before then, you know, we can have them look at you and see, you know, what they think is best for you. That's a orthotic thing, so that's not my specialty, I mean, so I'm not gonna sit here and tell you, yeah, man,
That's cool.
nope, I'll just get one of them to look at you. It's kinda like a oven guy working on a refrigerator, you know, I mean, you know, I know where my limits are. I know what you potentially will need, but yeah, they're you know, that's their specialty, so, yeah, we can make that happen easily.
Yeah, like I said, I see it more and more, like I'm very much seeing
Yeah,
like
your
more
ankle's
angles
gonna start
inside of my foot.
compensating, yeah, and, you know, you got pretty big calves and pretty small ankles. I mean, so it may become a problem sooner than later.
Okay.
You know, so yeah, I would definitely recommend going down that path now for sure. Yeah, we'll make that happen, no problems.
Yeah, I would like to.
Devon's is off today, and Bill hopefully will be back. I'm in dealing with human resources about how long he's gotta be out. He's negative, and, you know, they've been isolating and all that stuff. We go by CDC guidelines, so
Okay.
trying to figure it out. So I gotta, and his son works here too, and they both had to be quarantined, so.
Wow.
That's why I called you, I'm like, pulling my hair out of the air conditioner, was out last week, and I was out for 3 days, and I'm like, got no help, I'm going, oh my God, I just can't get him ready. But yeah, no worries, yeah, that's an easy fix. And they'll know too, better, like for you, you know, what do you wear to work, like footwear?
Generally I have some sort of safety shoe on.
Okay, like a boot with a metal toe or something?
I was wearing just ankles with metal toes. But I don't know exactly what I'm gonna be doing as soon as I go back, so it could be a normal tennis shoe.
Well, tennis shoes are great. I mean, that's typically, all new amputees is usually what I recommend, like a running shoe.
Okay.
And the reason is several, and these are things that amputees won't be able to tell you till later on. And some of them never listen. In addition to that shock that I'm giving you, you know, in the foot, and hopefully we'll be able to maintain that, running shoes, all the heels are padded.
Okay.
And that'll also help cut back on reverberation from you hitting that hard surface.
Okay.
Okay, because it'll impact, and you're gonna get a little bit taken care of, you know, with that vertical shock foot, but then it's gonna hit your ankle, and it's gonna hit your hip, and then it's gonna go up your back. So that's gonna help you, you know, I mean, you know, I'm not loading you down with bad things. It's just part of the way it works.
Okay.
So what I always recommend, you know, for 2 reasons, is not just the cushioning in the heel, which you'll come to love. The shoes are also flat, you know, and that is advantageous for the foot. The way these feet work, a 2-part heel, like a cowboy boot, or you know, even some of the work boots have a defined heel, and you know, you end up going. Okay, and it's hard for me to just make that smooth for you. What you want is more of like a rocket bottom. That's gonna come more from a flat shoe.
Okay.
That you hit, you roll across, and they're soft, and it'll kind of absorb that dead spot. You know, a lot of times there'll be a dead spot in the center of the foot where you're kind of going from heel strike to what we call mid stance to toe off. The tennis shoes are gonna help accentuate that foot and give you a better experience with it. 2-part heels, unfortunately, and you know, plastic bottom shoes or leather bottom dress shoes and all, you're gonna get that. Okay, so I always recommend like crate bottoms. You know, if you can find them, maybe like if you wear a dress shoe, you guys, you know, you're going to a wedding or whatever, church. You know, the crate bottoms, like a dress sport or something like that, they're gonna do the same thing.
Okay.
Give you that nice roll across, which will only benefit you when you're trying to walk. So tennis shoes also weigh nothing. So the only problem with a metal toed shoe, which if that's what you have to wear, it is, you know.
Some sites and stuff, I mean, they
Require. Yeah, that's fine. I would make, so what we'll probably wanna do is, probably wanna have you bring both your shoes in.
Okay.
Cause the heel height will change your alignment.
Okay.
So you will have to stay fairly close, you know, as far as heel height goes. So, and what I mean by that, so if you come in with a tennis shoe, which is typically a 3/8 inch heel height, all the foot shells have a heel height that's kind of built into them.
Okay.
And what that allows is for me to set your alignment. I always want your alignment to be where the pylon is perpendicular to the floor.
Okay,
Okay, so if you're in a 3/8 inch heel, then I'm gonna adjust that pylon so it's gonna sit just like that, okay? Now, if you take that tennis shoe off and you put on your work shoe, which has a 5/8, inch heel or a 3/4, you see what just happened?
yeah,
Well, when you do that, now the knee just got unstable because you shifted the weight line probably in front of the knee, or behind the knee, which is gonna make the knee unstable. Now, the good news is you've got the most advanced knee in the world. So will it be a huge problem for you? No. However, what I can do is if you have a big discrepancy between the two, a 1/4 inch or something like that, what I can do is we'll align it to the higher heel shoe, probably the work shoe, and then, which is gonna set you back.
because they tore mine off when I was out.
Well, so lightweight is what I would shoot for. I mean, this is not a light knee, so then you take a heavy boot, you put it on the end of it, and all day, I mean, you already got a higher energy expenditure. You're nice and strong, and I'm not taking anything away from you, and I think your suspension should be great. That will help. However, I mean, you're still dragging around this.
Yeah.
So I always tell people, and that's another reason I like running shoes, is that they're made for people that are running long distance. So they're made super light. Some of them are 8 ounces.
Yeah.
And, they don't weigh anything. Where if you, get a good heel or a steel-toed boot, or even a low
Yeah.
quarter, I mean, they're weighty.
Yeah, my
So-
boots were 5 pounds a piece.
Yeah. So you're looking at a pendulum effect. You're putting that on the end of a single axis joint, basically.
Well, what's the converse, or whatever, effect of walking barefoot? Because then that would change too, right?
Yes. Yeah, so barefoot, you probably don't wanna do. So the thing with the barefoot is, it's a couple of things. Because there's a heel height that's built into the foot shell, you're always gonna be going into hyperextension.
So you're waiting to get a shoe on.
What's that now?
Your foot, when the shell is on, is always waiting to be in issue, so it makes
Yes,
sense, right?
yeah.
Okay.
You can see how that's in hyperextension.
Yeah.
Well, the knee is not gonna go into hyperextension, so you're gonna take all the pressure right here, in your abdomen. And it's not gonna be comfortable, because the other thing is too, you're gonna be walking always uphill, perpetually trying to get over the toe.
Gotcha.
Now, the third bad thing is that the foot shells are just, it's just cosmetic. So it's a foamy type of a thing. Well, eventually, this will cut through the bottom of the foot shell.
Yeah.
And the bad news for that is that even though you got really good insurance and it's workman's comp and all that, they'll probably get you anything you need. Then we're gonna play that authorization game. If this is cutting through the bottom of your shoe, it's gonna start, or your foot shell, it's gonna start tearing your shoes up too.
Gotcha.
So it becomes a bigger problem. So, yes, I know it's not what you wanted to hear, but
Once it, if before it cuts all the way through, will I notice a difference, like in my foot? So you say, hey, maybe something's wrong with that?
now you just look at the bottom.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm assuming you'll change your socks pretty regularly, depending on the type of work you do. If you're in dusty situations and all that, you'll probably treat it very much like you will your sound side. So you flip that thing around and you're taking your shoe off, you take your sock off, you're gonna be staring at the bottom anyways.
Okay.
When you see it happening, it'll be here, and you'll see it start to kind of wear through. First of all, just kind of push, where it's soft, so it's gonna start working its way through. And this will happen even if you wear shoes.
Okay.
You'll probably need a new foot shell every year.
Okay, so it's not gonna make the shell itself loose or anything, so I would notice something.
Maybe a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, you might start feeling like something feels kind of weird, like it's almost loose.
Okay.
You have to be careful, if you're you do mostly indoor stuff, or are you putting this in like before the buildings are finished, or?
That's, a lot of times it's half and half on that. Sometimes it's, they've been going for years and get updated or whatever.
Yeah, okay.
Sometimes they're new. I'd rather they're new, but it doesn't happen a lot.
Well, you gotta be careful with the, how much sand you get in here too.
Okay.
The only reason I say that, it won't, you need to empty the foot shell out, or, I don't know if you have a compressor at the house or something, if you have any tools.
Yeah.
Just try to get the sand out of it. Because what will happen is if sand gets in there, and Autoblock does put this little plasticky top cover on the bottom of theirs.
Okay,
But sand over time will even eat your carbon away.
gotcha.
Like I get kids in here and they, they're just balls of the wall all the time. They get sand down there and it's in the tote and then they're walking, and they'll come in and be like, yeah, this thing feels kind of soft, and I'll pull it off, and dump 4 pounds of sand out. And I mean, these hard edges of this carbon, and carbon is like extremely hard. That sand will just eat it away.
Yeah.
I'm going, okay, yeah, it's almost time for a new foot. That is not covered under warranty, sand and all, because they do expect you to, it's kind of like put sugar in your gas tank. They would expect you to do that. So, there's some maintenance to it, but as long as you're careful, even that won't be a problem. I mean, feet have usually a 3-year warranty.
Okay.
And sometimes, honestly, I could still maybe get it, under warranty as well, even with sand, depending on what damage it had to it. But the cosmetic, the actual foam part, about once a year somebody's active, and even if you're wearing them in your shoe, eventually, just from the toes, these Albox feet come a little bit farther into the toes. Some of the feet stop where the end of that carbon is.
Oh, wow, okay.
Autobox are soft foot shells, so they actually, these come up into the toes a little better, which I like, because a lot of normal manufacturers, what you'll see right here is you'll just, the toes aren't in, and even in a shoe, eventually, just from the toe bending over the end, it'll just start cutting through the end of the shell.
Gotcha.
So, but that's, I get your foot shell and put it on in 10 minutes.
Okay.
You're out the door. So it's just a matter of everything's difficult when you gotta get off everything and all that kind of thing. But that's stuff that chances are, you're gonna change your socks, they're gonna get dirty, and like anything else, you're gonna flip it up, pull the shoe off, pull the sock off, and you're gonna be staring at the base of the foot anyway. So you'll be able to tell really quickly, if it's in good shape or not.
Gotcha.
If it's not, and it's starting to get tore up, and you're close, 2 or 3 weeks out, a month before a storm, call me and say, hey man, I need a foot shell.
Okay.
We'll call your company and I'll say, hey, we need a foot shell. And, I'll get you one ordered and you can swing by and I can pop one on in no time.
Cool.
So that's easy enough, but that's part of what I was telling you earlier, if you don't keep in contact with me, I can't help.
Yeah.
And so you look at some of these amputees that, will come back in 5 years and go, man, this thing ain't been working right. And I'm like, yeah, really? It's like not changing your oil. I mean, if you were to break your hip, everything's changed now. Okay, surgeons are great. The chances of them getting that hip back exactly like it was, it's almost impossible. So either now this leg's short or that leg's long, or vice versa. Meaning, chances are with a hip fracture, you've probably lost a 1/4 inch, maybe a 1/2 inch. So I tell my patients, like you have a life-changing event like that, and you have a prosthesis. Even if it's your right leg, and you're going, well, that won't affect my left leg. Oh yeah. Because now, I've got your height set on this side. Well, that side gets shorter or longer. This height's not right anymore.
Yeah.
So, that's why I tell, you can call me on the phone and go, hey man, I broke my hip, is that gonna affect us? Yes. When you get set, come on, because I'll need to see you.
Okay.
If they did the most perfect surgery in the world, I'll say, man, I don't know how they did it, but it's great. You're good to go. If not, give me 10 minutes and I'll have your height changed. I had a lady been walking for 7 months and broke her hip. I haven't seen her in a year or 2, and she just got done with her therapy. It's been going on forever, and she's doing great. Still on a walker. And I'm like, I just could tell through her walking. I'm like, okay, something's not right. And I said, hold on a minute, let me check your hips. Your hips. I'm like, hey, you're like a 1/2 inch short on this side. She goes, oh, I broke my hip. Just finished in therapy. I'm like, how long have you been in therapy? She goes, 4 months. I just can't quite get my balance. And I'm like, man, just because you're a 1/2 inch short on that side.
Wow.
You see what I mean? And so, I love people that are set and, but if you have a question or you just wondering that, is this actually affecting my process? You just call me, man, because I can answer that question for you really quickly. But the worst thing you do is just not at least inquire.
Okay.
And so, some of these guys, like I said, and I'm not saying, hey, there's plenty, I see some stuff that comes in here, from other, I even see stuff comes here from my company, I'm like, oh, and I go, oh boy, I mean, that I missed that quarter of school, I mean, it's just not good, you know, and, it's just my opinion, but, you know, you do have to be careful with it. Not all amputees get a straight shot right out of the gates. Sometimes you have to move around, you know, hey, 6 months you might not like me. But it's just it's that type of thing, and then they get fed up with it or something, and they, you know, they put bad references on the internet. But, sounds like he's just trying to give you an idea of what.
Yeah, it's just, like I said, that's why he came across, I was just, so I'm like, man, like, I appreciate all the other stuff, but I really just don't hear anything bad, like, let me just go straight.
This system that you've got is, I mean, it's gonna hold about as good as any system out there. Unless you like have a massive change, which, you know, it's 6, 9 months, I mean, I don't know how fast you're gonna shrink. You know, could we be looking at another socket? Maybe. But I don't think with you, it'll be, you know, it will be, there'll be some duration in there. By that time, you'll know that something's changing. I mean, really, if you look at your limb, you know if it's getting skinnier or not.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it's not rocket science. And when that happens, then guess what? The socket's custom for you today. It's not custom for you in a year and a half.
Yeah.
Yes, it's still custom for Jared, but is it gonna fit the same way? Most likely not. Most people, like I said, Americans, I mean, I'd say I usually replace everybody's socket, I mean, for the most part. I mean, if I'm just being totally honest. And I say everybody, let's say 90%. I've got those people that never change. They come in here 10 years later, and I'm going, is it time? And you know, they've got a split going on from their socket. Still fits great, they've just destroyed it, you know, and then they need a new one. But most people, it's because of weight loss or weight gain, which has changed their shape, and then they can't figure out why their leg doesn't fit the way it did, you know, 2.5 years ago. Because you've changed, you know, and that's just part of the process. So, yes, when it gets fitting badly, can you piston? Absolutely. Yeah, if you lose a bunch of size and your back, you know, your suction's not hold good, and while you're walking, I mean, you gotta remember, you're still dragging that around below you. So if your suspension's not good, you know, can you piston? Yeah, yeah.
Right.
For you, I don't think it'll be a big problem. I mean, you know, and outside of you being aggressive, and, you know, I think you'll call me, because you ask a lot of good questions, so.
Yeah.
I think you'll inquire because you'll wanna know. And that for you will be saving grace, because we'll catch it when it's starting, you know, and hopefully be ready to address it, you know, as soon as possible.
Okay.
So, I think, you know, yeah, like anything else, take what you read and hear to some extent with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
It's good to hear it, but yeah, I wouldn't do all.
Like I said, I was, you know, I'm appreciative of everything they tell me, it's just sometimes I'm like, all right, like, so there's highlighted negatives more than highlighted positives, so.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Give me a little rainbow before you give me the storm.
Yeah.
I get it. Yeah, that stuff, I mean, honestly, you know, the biggest things you're gonna run into when you get out of the gate, is just getting used to having it on, you know, which that's the first thing for everybody. You know, my goal is that you wake up in the morning, you put your leg on. It's your leg. I mean, you know, it's part of you now, so, I mean, that's my goal, is that, you know, hey, let's get moving.
Other than comfortability, is there a reason why you don't wear it to bed, or?
Don't worry what?
Is there a reason why you don't wear your leg to bed?
I mean, that, or, I think it would be very cumbersome, just, like if you know, you just lay on your back all night, you never move. Okay, me, I'm like from side to side, side to side. I think my sound side knee would just be beat to all head and back.
Yeah.
Just from flopping, and then two, you might kick your neighbor, which might not be a good idea either. Yeah, it's like, yeah, and I'm flipping, I'm always worried that I'm gonna like clobber my wife, because I sleep on my side, and I'm gonna roll over and just beat her one night in the mouth, and you know, it's like this fear, I'm flipping that arm in, you know. Yeah, I don't think that would feel good, you know, if you flipped hard enough. It'd probably leave a mark, as Tommy Blue would say. So, I mean, you could, I suppose, you know, I mean, if
I
you
mean, I
want,
think I would die from heat, but.
well, we can get used to that, I mean, to be honest.
I'm just way hot at night and I can't get cold enough, so.
Yeah, I hear you.
On, like,
Yeah, I'm kinda with you there, I like it, yeah.
Yeah.
I like covers, but I like it to be,
yeah,
like Arctic,
Yeah.
I'm with you. Yeah, you're not gonna love the heat aspect of it, unfortunately, there's not really a lot you can do about it. For those that, even if we do the, you know, antiperspirant or something like that, I don't know, that's gonna completely stop the problem.
Yes.
So, you know, you still may have a little bit of time where you gotta, you know, roll into the bathroom and dry everything off, and then, you know, you have to completely dismantle. Nah, I think you'll get to where you know exactly how to do it. You'll just pull your liner off, dry your leg, dry your liner. I mean, it'll be a 2-minute deal, you know, off you go again. But, might you have to do it? You might. I mean, we're just figuring you out going out of the gate.
yeah,
I got soldiers that, man, I mean, you know, Joel's up here Wednesday, he comes up from Hinesville, and, I mean, we were all day making him 3 sockets, and, he's below the knee, but, lost his foot in Iraq. I mean, he just sweats when we're talking, and he's just rolling, I'm like, dude, he'll just pull his liner off, and it's like a teacup.
Yeah.
I mean, he just pours sweat out of it. I'm not kidding, I mean, like,
Wow.
he'll just dump it, it's like that full of sweat. And, I had to tell him, like, you know, Bo, you can't submerge yourself in, it's salt water,
Yeah.
you know, you need to, he goes, well, I don't know, but I'm busy. Okay, well, he finally called me, and he was staying waterlogged so long that the callus on the end of his bone just split wide open.
oh,
You know, I mean, it was, yeah.
Wow.
And I'm like, and this is because your skin got so soft, but that callus was so thick that, you know, that pressure from you hitting the front wall, I mean, it just flayed wide open.
wow,
And, you know, he slowed down with his perspiration, which the theory is there's no airspace, you know, you can't perspire. Yeah, I haven't seen it just stop altogether. But all these liners will tell you that's how it works. I'm going,
I was gonna say, and the fact that you start hearing you sweat downward, I mean, you know.
and there's that. So I haven't seen that happen where somebody that's really, you know, diaphoretic and all of a sudden they're just like, hey, I'm better, I stopped sweating yesterday. Yeah, I wouldn't count on that. I think you will slow down, you know, and your tissue will get more used to it. You'll probably be hot, you know, and like I said, we've got some pretty good high-powered antiperspirants that we'll let you try, and they work pretty well.
Okay.
You know, you know, we'll get through it. But yeah, if when we get fitting, I mean, I would probably, like I said, start at a tennis shoe. But you're ready to like hit the work again, and you might need to wear that boot. You know, we probably want to align you well. As I say, we'll align you to the higher heel, and then the problem is now you'll be in hyperextension in your tennis shoe. What I usually do is just it's like a 1/4 inch. I just cut you a crepe heel wedge, and I just glue it in your shoe.
Okay.
And then you can change from the boot to the tennis shoe anytime you want.
Cool.
It's also possible to always find the shoe, the same heel height. So even some tennis shoes, you know, are different. So we just put you in the shoe, and I can see what your pylon's doing, and then I can make adjustments to your shoe and otherwise, so that, you know, I want it to be so you can change shoes anytime you want.
Okay.
However, you have to be reasonable with me and not bring me like a 2-inch cowboy boot, and yeah, I can't help you.
Yeah, that's cool. I can live with that.
But yeah, you know, I've got people that, you know, they go on vacation or something like that, they just put a water shoe on it, and then
Oh, yeah.
they just wear a water shoe on the other foot, you know, something like that, just like an aqua sock or whatever you wanna call them. You know, even flip-flops are gonna put you a little bit backwards. But this knee too is gonna help you compensate for all of that.
Okay.
So you'll be all right. I mean, these just little things we'll work through, we'll figure them out. And I'm not saying don't listen to the guy, yeah, absolutely, he was 100%
Oh, no,
right.
I appreciate like everything, so I mean, I want them to keep telling me, like I said, I just have to ask questions about it, cause.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, you're absolutely right, I just didn't cross that bridge yet, cause
Yeah.
I was trying not to get into the perspiration aspect of it yet.
I will definitely get there, I promise. No
Yeah,
doubt.
well, hey, like I said, you're not my first guy, Joel Sweatway, me and I are just talking, so, yeah, he's got a much bigger problem than you. Yeah, we'll be fine,
Mhm.
we'll be fine. All right, so Mara, I'm gonna get this shipped out, and, we won't schedule, I just have them call you. What they'll do is send me, and they'll give me an estimate, they'll send me an email and say, based on our workload. Problem is right now too, that, people furloughed, so
Yeah.
they may be shorthanded. I mean, I don't know what their status is. They'll send me an email and say, we should tentatively have this back to you on the 18th,
Okay.
something like that. And then what we'll do is we'll schedule you, and, I usually will just see if they're staying on track.
Okay.
And I'll send them something and say, are we still, party goes, it's getting shipped out on this date, and they say, yeah, we'll keep you there. If they say, well, sometimes they'll send me and say, we're running a couple of days behind, it's gonna be the 20th,
Okay.
and we'll just call you and move you back.
That's fine.
About all I can do, my friend. And it's out of my hands once they have it. But I can tell you this, they'll do, I couldn't do the same job for you that they can do. It'll be sweet.
Okay.
They'll do very well, so.
Oh.
Is that it?
Well, I mean, I got a weird question. I just saw it in the news. I'm assuming I can, but when the time comes, if I got to that point, can I go skydiving with it? Some guy just lost his leg and the farmer had to find it, so, I'm assuming you can.
Yeah, I don't see why you couldn't. I mean, I have had patients lose their limbs on rides, like at Six Flags and such. But,
Oh, great.
well, they probably, if they knew, they probably wouldn't let you wear yours. I mean, this was an arm patient, and he went up or something, his arm, hit a couple of guys on the way back.
Wow.
And they shut the whole ride down, and
Oh
it
my
was like,
gosh.
for hours, and all the people in line were like, "Yes, what arm guy lost his arm?" So he was, Jerry turned around and wishes. But if there's a leg that you could wear, it would be this one.
Okay.
Yeah.